is with great sadness that I'm brought to you today to inform you that Animal Crossing for Nintendo Switch has been delayed. Probably. Look, before we jump to any too crazy conclusions, I know I said maybe, probably. Let me explain. It's no secret to anyone that the 2019 lineup for first-party Nintendo Switch titles has been pretty barren. I mean, even less than last year's. Last year's launch schedule was back-end loaded, you know, particularly focusing on Smash and Pokemon Let's Go and the holiday releases. And the beginning of the year, the first 6 months, being a little bit lighter in games, focusing more on a couple of ports here and there, like Bayonetta, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, and then a couple new games like Kirby and whatnot. Admittedly, a little disappointment to the previous year being the first year of the Switch, but obviously you can't really compare. The first year of Switch was insane. A new title, like, literally every single month. You know, we were all kind of impression. Okay, maybe this second year is the time they take some break to really develop some stuff, and the third year they'll really open the floodgates and tons of games will be coming again. And to kind of follow up this idea, in last year's November Direct, they actually announced some new games for this year. Animal Crossing, as well as Luigi's Mansion 3. But then Nintendo's January Direct rolled out for this year. Instead of being a big blowout of all the titles to expect throughout the rest of the year, it's more of a mini presentation, kind of just showcasing a couple of new things here and there. Yes, we did get the announcement of Super Mario Maker 2, which is and will be a big focus of this year. And then we got Link's Awakening Remake, which in my eyes, it's kind of a more smaller game. I don't know what to expect yet, of course, but beyond the two games that were announced in that Direct, there were a couple other games we knew going into this year that would make an appearance. Metroid Prime 4 was supposedly going to be coming out in this year. Later, we'd be learning that they're completely starting over. Yeah, we probably won't see that for another 4 years.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Then, of course, the Fire Emblem game, which they've been talking about since, what, like the release of Nintendo Switch, saying that a mainline one game's coming. Okay, promise. And in tandem with that, the core RPG Pokemon experience was supposedly going to be this year as well. Since then, we've seen trailers for both of those games, so great. So it's really no secret to anyone that the launch schedule for this year has almost been even more barren than last year. I mean, at least last year's first 6 months had a couple of new titles here and there, and some ports to kind of fill in the month. Things did pick up towards the end of the year, but the kind of hope for this year was to, you know, make up for those gaps of last year and hopefully produce more games. And by the looks of it, there is a pretty good launch schedule coming up. We got, what? A new core Fire Emblem, a new core Pokemon, Mario Maker 2, Luigi's Mansion 3, nope, no Metroid anymore. Then, of course, Animal Crossing. Those are 5 really big titles. But the unfortunate part is they're all kind of shoehorned at the end of the year, an exception, of course, Mario Maker. All the release dates are kind of consolidated together towards the holiday season, so it's going to be a lot of high acceleration, bam, 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 in the holiday season, but what else for the rest of the year? Don't get me wrong, indies as well as third parties have really been supporting the Switch throughout this entire year. So I'm not out here complaining there's nothing to play on the Switch. The thing that scares me is I do have some concerns with how they have things scheduled out. Because from what we've seen of Animal Crossing, it's been nothing. We've seen nothing. And yes, E3 is right around the corner. This could be and probably will be a chance where they'll completely blow out the game, right? And show off everything that'll happen. Right? In a perfect world, that's my hope, and that's what they're going to focus on. But, of course, there's other titles they got to show off. They, of course, are going to be showing off Fire Emblem, the new Pokemon game. Mario Maker 2, even though it comes out within the same month, that's a huge game for Nintendo, and I can't not see that being a big focus of E3, considering they already talked about there's going to be a Super Mario Maker 2 tournament alongside the Smash and Splatoon World Final Championships or whatever. So, Mario Maker, even though it's coming out as soon as it is going to be a main focus of this year's E3. And just the thing that scares me with Animal Crossing is how little we've actually seen of it. Yes, there could be more behind closed doors than we realize, but at least with Luigi's Mansion 3, we've actually seen a good fair amount of gameplay of it. Kind of easing my concerns that, you know, that game does make sense that it could still come out this year. The reason I'm starting to fear for Animal Crossing is just because they had nothing to show at the release. And they didn't show anything in the January Direct. And of course, sure, you want to save big reveals and big surprises for E3, but it gets to a point, if E3 is the first time you're seeing the game, is it realistic to see that game coming out in the same year? Yes, there are exceptions, of course. But like I was previously talking about, Nintendo has a lot of stuff lined up for the end of the year. A lot of big releases are going to start lining up and coming up real fast, meaning a lot of development time is going to be devoted to these games to make sure they come out in time. There's no question. Of course, we're going to be seeing Animal Crossing at E3, and I know they're going to be showing off a lot of cool stuff. However, I hate to admit it, but I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the thing they pardoned and said, excuse us, but this game is going to be delayed till early 2020. No! Oh my gosh, just saying it out loud hurts. It hurts. Because let's just look at this realistically, right? Black Friday game the week before or whatever is going to be Pokemon. Fire Emblem could be a late fall. Luigi's Mansion, October. Link's Awakening, maybe it's farther in development than realized, so maybe that's like a September or a late summer thing. And we're already kind of running out of months for Animal Crossing's release. And while I could say Animal Crossing feels like a summer title, it could be anything. But at the same time, it being a December title doesn't feel right. December titles are those big games they're trying to get out last second to get in for those Christmas shopping and kind of conclude the year with, you know, Smash Brothers being a game of that example, Xenoblade 2 for the first year of the Switch. And speaking of which, that was one of those games that a lot of people kind of assumed would be delayed because we didn't really see much of it going into the holiday season of the first year of the Switch. So Animal Crossing could be a similar title, but I don't know, it's just a weird situation. Of the games we've known out before this year that would be coming out in this year, that's a tongue twister. Let me start over. Of the games that we know that were going to be coming out this year, oh my gosh, how do I want to say this? Of the games we knew about coming out this year, before this year, that doesn't make sense still. Of the games they announced in previous years to coming out in this year, I guess that works. Animal Crossing is the only one so far we've seen nothing of. We've seen Pokemon Sword and Shield. We've seen Fire Emblem 3 Houses. We've seen Luigi's Mansion 3. And now the other games that they announced in this year, coming out this year, we've already seen tons of Mario Maker and we know the release date, so no doubt. And the other game being Link's Awakening. That's the reason I'm just a little concerned with Animal Crossing, because we've seen nothing. Literally nothing besides not even a real name of the game, just Animal Crossing 2019. It really was one of the first games they announced for this year, if you obviously make an exception for how they announced Pokemon as well as Fire Emblem, look, what, 2 years in advance. Point is, this is the only 2019 first-party Nintendo title that we still know nothing about. I'm not trying to be pessimistic or be like a Debbie Downer or anything, but I'm just trying to level expectations. Because I already know whenever Nintendo finally does reveal Animal Crossing stuff, probably at E3, I'm going to lose my mind, and I'm going to be screaming my head off, and I'm going to be begging and salivating and waiting and wanting to know when it releases. I'm just preparing myself for the scenario where Nintendo does, unfortunately, bring a delay to this game. And like I keep saying, since we've seen so little, they could have keeping it all behind closed doors, but, you know, when they announced Isabelle's release in Smash, yes, that Direct was so jam-packed. I guess they didn't really need to show off more Animal Crossing, but why didn't they show it in the January Direct? It perhaps could be because Animal Crossing is going to be a big focus of the C3, but that also leads into the problem that there are other games they're going to be needing to show off and talk about. Like I previously mentioned, Super Mario Maker 2 already seems like to be a big focus of this year's E3, even though it's going to be coming out within weeks of the show. There's beyond that, there's Pokemon Fire Emblem, Luigi's Mansion, and a Zelda game that they still have to go through. And beyond that, there could be still some games that they've yet to even announce that they talk about at E3 that could still come out within the last half of 2019. So everyone, you can put your pitchforks and your torches away. No rioting is necessary. Yes, I could be wrong, and of course, I hope I'm wrong. I'm just, like I said, trying to prepare myself for the scenario where that becomes reality. Because if Animal Crossing is going to be delayed, the cards are kind of leaning into that favor, unfortunately. But what are your guys' thoughts? Do you think I'm totally off base here? Do you think Animal Crossing is for sure coming out this year? Are you willing to put your name on the line? Are you willing to put your mayor privileges in Animal Crossing on the line and guarantee it's coming out this year? Because I don't know if I'm willing to take that bet. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to give this video a big awesome like. If you haven't already, definitely subscribe for tons more on Animal Crossing Switch. And of course, plenty on E3 2019 Nintendo coverage. Show's coming out quick, so obviously I'm going to be doing my best to kind of pump out some quick prediction stuff as we get closer to the show. And then obviously once it's up, once the show is live, you can look forward to some content while I'm there. Reactions, whatever. And man, if Animal Crossing is playable. Thanks again, guys, so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!
Also, be sure to check out the JammerProHD Discord. The link is in the description. Great place to find friends to play Nintendo Switch games with. We try to live streams every weekend. Usually, not this weekend. I have family in town, but we'll make up for it. So yeah, check that out. Link in the description. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.